I'm a philosopher, and I'm from the United States. I teach at Haverford College, founded by the Quakers outside of Philadelphia in USA. I've been there 47 years and teaching global philosophy, which is a new frontier of human philosophy across the planet. Looking at our different wisdom traditions out of Europe, Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, and all of Europe, and Buddha's philosophy and the centuries of evolution of Buddha into Zen and Vedantic philosophy and yoga, all the way into Aurobindo, across the planet, looking at the great wisdom traditions in the Greek Logos tradition, and realizing that there's a profound connection on a global way across all of our great worlds, and we urgently need it. And the transpersonal frontier is tapping that pulse of the urgency to move into a deeper trans-ego-based way of looking at reality, into a global intelligence that's urgently needed. So that's the context of my work.
Okay. And here in this festival, you're presenting in some you having a lecture, or you're having a workshop.
Yes, whatever name we use, it's an attempt. I'm working with my son also. He's here teaching yoga classes and trying to understand the yoga of yoga, that yoga is transpersonal technology, and a performer of source music, feeding the soul. But we're performing together in that sense of getting to the heart of human addiction, and to understand how the great wisdom teachers and our scriptures have been pointing to a deep addiction that we seem not to see. And we're looking at the alcohol, we're looking at substance abuse, and we're looking at different things you may have obsessed with, money or whatever it may be. But we don't see that in a deep way we're stuck in an addiction that our geniuses saw. And we need to really face it, to really break their addiction. So we'll be speaking on that today in a transpersonal way. Well, because one thing about the transpersonal is the word itself is trying to see that by focusing on the person as primary, and usually the ego, it means the ego, it's trans-ego. So transpersonal means trans-ego, meaning there's a deeper holistic way that doesn't start with the ego as a center, but beyond the ego. I think that's not radical enough, because if you listen to our great geniuses, Jesus, Buddha, Mohammed, Krishna, LaoTzu, all of these great teachers and scriptures, they're saying we've got to get out of the ego. That's not the high mature self. That's a stage. And we need to get into the AUM for the yoga, the technology. But when Krishna is teaching Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, that's transpersonal. And we don't realize that's transpersonal ontology, the science of being. When Buddha awakened with his great Four Noble Truths, and he saw that existence is suffering and it's an illness, and we can stop it, and it's an addiction, and we can rehabilitate our consciousness in Buddha space. He's calling us to leave that limited way of separating ourselves as objects to enter the Buddha space where everything is interconnected. And when Jesus makes that great sacrifice, he's trying to teach us to leave that separated space that's taking us down, to go into the Christ space, right, which is one with the Logos. And so this is a pattern across, those are transpersonal teachings. Socrates saying, we've got to leave the cave to come into the light of reason. That's transpersonal. So I'm trying to bring up that global power. So addiction is to see that, wow, when we're egoing, that's not the main problem. It's a technology we're using that creates the ego. We're separating ourselves off. We're talking about it. And we don't realize that that mental process is an addiction of the mind, and is generating ego and fragmentation, separations, and then ultimately wars and violence and objectification of people and Holocaust, genocides. All of that is traceable to the technology of separating from the flow of reality and interconnect. So transpersonal means to go into the flow, into the zone, into the Zen, right, of reality. So what really captures the attention of young people, since I've been teaching 47 years, young people, brilliant young people, and they're getting ready to go into life. And they're in this college, it's a sanctuary, protected space. And one of the greatest things when they study philosophy with me, which is transpersonal. Philosophy is transpersonal. If you study Zen philosophy, it's saying, be here now. If you're studying yoga philosophy, be here now. You see what I mean? Whatever, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, what is the virtuoso of a human being? The one who's attentive and mindful. So the students get that, and especially athletes and performers and artists, they realize when they're in the zone, something happens when the soccer team is just all flowing together. And they're not ego soccer. It's that they become soccer. Or the jazz musicians, they're not ego jazzing, they become the jazz. Or the artist who's up late composing, she becomes the composition. That's being in the zone. That's peak performance. That's your personal best. That's an example of transpersonal living and experience. So the student says, wow. And Buddha is encouraging us to live a life like that, and yoga is the technology, and Aristotle and Plato and the founders of the European imagination, right, to be a virtuoso of the art of being human, is a transpersonal art. You see, so when the students realize, oh my God, when I'm in the zone, I love it, and I want to live my life in the zone. And now I'm seeing I have the technology to do it, the technology of global wisdom, and they love it. It turns them on. Right? And they see the importance of this. So what I say to young people, and when they're studying with me and they're ready to go out in life, that really captures the heart of all of this. It is that they know that the culture is teaching that they're growing up in is treating them like an ego, like an object, and they see themselves that way. But they know better. They know they're more than just an ego. They know that we're connected. We're dialogue beings. The I and the thou are connected. We're not objects. And the technology of our culture is making us objectified into objects, as something. We're not something. And that's what the transpersonal genius is trying to say. No, you're not an object, you're a person. You're a mensch. And so the young people, as they are ready to go into their lives, they don't want to be an object. They want to be a person. They want to be human. And that a human is a trans-ego being. So I think that gives them hope and passion and enthusiasm and enchantment of wanting to live a life of well-being, because that's the art of being a human and of human well-being. So they get that, the young people, and they want and they're ready for it.
Okay, Mr. Gaangadean, thank you for being with us.
Pleasure to be with you.